This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Tuesday, February 9th, 2021. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, the second impeachment trial of President Donald Trump gets underway in the Senate with the outcome all but foreordained. No conviction for the former president. A new statement today from the World Health Organization on the origins of the COVID virus. While here in the United States, growing worries about the new mutations that have come from other countries. Do Trump supporters need to be deprogrammed? That's what one major media figure has recently said, and another one tells CBN News the idea may be more widespread than you think. And Israel facing possible war crimes investigations from the International Criminal Court. We're going to bring you the Israeli response. All those stories and more are ahead in this edition of CBN Newswatch. We begin this half hour with the second impeachment trial of former President Donald Trump, which starts today in the Senate. The trial is virtually certain to end in Trump's acquittal, but over the next few days, the House manager plans to argue he should be barred from ever holding federal office again because of his role in inciting the rioters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. Trump's attorneys will make the case the impeachment is unconstitutional and violates his First Amendment rights. Our CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson brings us the story from Washington.
Over the next few days, the House impeachment managers plan to show videos reminding the Senate jury of what they lived through on January 6th and make their case that President Trump is singularly responsible for the siege of the Capitol.
You fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
But President Trump's lawyers say his use of the word fight almost 24 times in his January 6th speech is a common political term meant to be taken figuratively. They'll also argue the FBI knew there was a threat to the Capitol days before the rally, and that the rioters acted on their own accord.
When you have the President of the United States give a speech and says you should peacefully make your thinking known to the people in Congress, he's all of a sudden a villain.
Trump's lead attorney, Bruce Castor, says they plan to use Democrats' own words against them, too, in order to make the case Trump's speech is protected by the First Amendment.
There's an awful lot of tape of cities burning and courthouses being attacked, cheered on by Democrats.
45 Republicans, including Senator Lindsey Graham, have already indicated they believe the trial is unconstitutional, making a conviction extremely unlikely.
The impeachment articles, I think, are unconstitutional because the president is in Florida. He's not in office.
Some people say, oh, let this go away. Oh, no. When something as horrible, as dastardly that happened on January 6th occurs, you cannot sweep it under the rug.
Meanwhile, Georgia officials are investigating the president's phone call to the Secretary of State over election results there, which could also become a part of this trial. The trial is set to begin at 1 p.m. today. Leadership from both sides in the Senate agreed to start the trial with a debate and vote on whether or not it is constitutional to proceed, and then go from there. Reporting from Capitol Hill, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
Turning now to the coronavirus, a World Health Organization expert said today the virus is unlikely to have leaked from a Chinese lab and most probably jumped into people from an intermediary animal. China had strongly denied the possibility of a leak from a lab, instead promoting theories the virus may have begun somewhere else before being brought to Wuhan. Here in the United States, Republican Representative Ron Wright became the first sitting member of Congress to die after contracting COVID. But overall, the number of new cases has dropped substantially, falling to their lowest level in 3 months. And the drive to vaccinate Americans is gaining speed. Nearly 1 in 10 Americans have now received at least one shot, but only about 3% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Now the big concern has become the rapid spread of the new variations of the virus that have come from the United Kingdom, Brazil, and South Africa. Joining us now is CBN medical reporter Lori Johnson with more. So, Lori, new cases are down, but could variants from other countries reverse that trend and make the COVID outbreak last here in the United States even longer?
Absolutely, Ephraim. You know, a lot of healthcare professionals are comparing what we're going through right now to the eye of the storm, the eye of a hurricane. You know, we've really been through a lot of it. It's calm right now, but what's to come could be just as bad or maybe even worse. And the reason is these variants. We're talking about two in particular, the UK variant and the South African variant. Both variants are here in the United States. The UK variant is much more widespread. It's expected to be the dominant strain as soon as next month. It's much more contagious than the coronavirus we've been dealing with for the last year. And that fact alone may mean more deaths, because if it's more contagious, one might assume that we're going to have more cases, more hospitalizations, and more deaths. But the good thing about the UK variant is it is very sensitive to the vaccines. So the vaccines work on it. The South African variant, not so much. We've seen that the South African variant is able to elude or evade or escape the vaccines to some degree, and also, Ephraim, treatments.
So will the variants mean that people can get COVID a second time?
Yes, we've seen this with the South African variant, not so much the UK one, that people who were infected with the coronavirus strain that we've been dealing with up until now have now been reinfected with this South African strain. So people who have had COVID are recommended to go ahead and get a vaccine, but maybe wait about 6 or 8 weeks until after you've recovered.
So then the question is, will the vaccines need to be tweaked to deal with variants like that South Africa variant?
Yes, healthcare officials say not only will they need to be tweaked, but they are in the process of tweaking them right now. These messenger RNA vaccines, the Pfizer and the Moderna ones, are actually pretty easy to tweak, to change a little bit to accommodate these variants that come on the scene. Although it doesn't happen overnight, it takes a few weeks to change it, but then, of course, they have to be tested. So Moderna is already making a new, different vaccine to accommodate this South African variant, but it might not be ready until fall, Ephraim.
So only about 3% of Americans have actually been fully vaccinated. So how long will it take us now, do you think, to reach herd immunity?
Well, they say herd immunity is about 75% of the population is immune in one of two ways. Whether they have natural immunity from recovering from the virus or being vaccinated. At the rate we're going right now, it looks like we might achieve herd immunity by the fall. But if we have new vaccines coming on the scene like Johnson & Johnson, that may come even sooner. And if these vaccines get out faster than they are, again, that herd immunity could come sooner. We're vaccinating about 1.5 million people a day. And, of course, the goal is to increase that.
Before we let you go, you mentioned Johnson & Johnson. We know that is the latest vaccine people are waiting on. What's the difference between Johnson & Johnson and what's out there right now?
Huge difference. The main difference is it's just one shot. That's fantastic. And the second main difference is it doesn't have to be frozen. And so this is great for people who live in rural areas, anywhere that there's not a freezer or one of those fancy freezers. So this is much more accessible to people, not only in the rural areas or lower income areas in the United States, but also in the world.
All right, Lori Johnson, thank you so much. Much to watch, much appreciated, as always. Coming up, do Americans who voted for or supported President Donald Trump need to be deprogrammed as if they were members of a cult? Some members of the media think so. We're going to hear what they have to say when we come back.
I am Regent's first ROTC graduate student.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm Ephraim Graham. Welcome to Studio 5.
Get on it.
All that's new and now in the world of uplifting entertainment with celebrity interviews.
There's a higher contribution I will make.
Musical performances.
I'll give you my best praise.
Plus movie and TV news.
See it and be uplifted.
On Studio 5.
every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern at cbn.com/Studio 5.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
Get the top political news and analysis from Washington on Faith Nation, tonight at 6 Eastern, only on the CBN News Channel.
It sounded like a shocking statement to many people, but others were not surprised when a major media figure said that President Trump's supporters need to be deprogrammed. And one former member of the establishment media says the idea is actually more widely believed than you realize. Jennifer Wishon brings us the story.
It's no secret Americans who supported the presidency of Donald Trump mystified those known as the liberal media elite. Still, many Americans gasped when a trusted news voice millions used to wake up to made this statement.
The question is, how are we going to really almost deprogram these people who have signed up for the cult of Trump?
For many citizens, it was jaw-dropping to hear something so radical from a respected journalist.
What did you think when you heard her calling for Trump supporters to be deprogrammed?
You kind of get that sinking feeling in your stomach because it's so disappointing. You're like, oh, wow, seriously?
It's a year since Fox Nation last visited the border.
Longtime journalist and former 60 Minutes correspondent Lara Logan, who now hosts her own show on Fox Nation, Lara Logan Has No Agenda, says this so-called idea is more widely accepted than you might think.
Just the idea that anyone needs to be deprogrammed is such a radical idea. And yet this is not an idea that you're hearing on the fringes, right? This is an idea that's being published in the opinion pages of the Washington Post.
She's right. This comes from Post opinion writer Brian Klass. So do we have any hope of deprogramming the millions of Americans who are devoted to dangerous lunacy? Don't hold your breath. One in a slew of articles and commentary that accept deprogramming as a necessary response to Americans disappointed by the presidential election.
There are millions of Americans, almost all white, almost all Republicans, who somehow need to be deprogrammed. It's as if they are members of a cult, the Trumpist cult.
Logan points out she's not motivated by politics or party, rather outrage over the media's self-sustaining, sinister narrative that in some cases threatens the very lives and livelihoods of millions of citizens.
There is an entire infrastructure that is built around sustaining this narrative and targeting millions of people in this country who see the world differently and who they regard as a threat and now as illegitimate enough to have to be erased. Hunter Biden's laptop was a conspiracy theory until it wasn't. And Russia collusion was never, ever cast as a conspiracy theory, but it wasn't true. And how damaging was that? What about the fact that Stephen Scalise was shot by a Bernie Sanders supporter? What is it that Bernie Sanders supporters believed that justified picking up a weapon and going and trying to kill someone? I mean, that's much more than sinister. That's much more than just media bias. There are actual political operatives who are being paid and who have placement and access throughout the media who are making sure that these narratives are sustained.
What is this? Is this just about Donald Trump or is this just about conservatism? What do you think?
This was never about Donald Trump. And that's what made Donald Trump so threatening to all the people that really, really, really went out of their way to destroy him. and to get rid of him. It was all about focusing everybody on the man so that you wouldn't remember to focus on the principles, so that you wouldn't realize that what actually happened for the first time in living memory is that we, the people, as it is in the Constitution, actually said, okay, we're going to exercise our rights. We've had it. We're done. We're done with you saying things can only be done this way in Washington. We're done with you taking our tax dollars and then telling us that you know best. We're done with paying for NATO and then being disregarded and criticized and blamed for everything by the international community. Fine. We won't pay your defense bills then. We don't understand why you agreed to this trade deal with China that destroyed manufacturing in this country. We don't understand why you still are part of the United Nations when everyone at the UN says that America's, to blame for everything. And what the propaganda was all about, what the targeting of Donald Trump and the emphasizing of, every annoying thing about him that got emphasized over and over and over and over again, was shaming you into not voting for him or admitting that you vote for him, and distracting you from the real principles at stake, so that he would be limited in what he'd be able to achieve, and that he could quickly be gotten rid of as fast as possible. And how do you know that's true? Because you don't have to take my word for it. What do I know? I'm just a journalist. Well, you know it's true because look what happened even before he left office. The target shifted. It went from Donald Trump to you.
It's a chilling assessment. One Logan says is being backed up with action. Just look at the Department of Homeland Security's new domestic terrorism bulletin, warning of ideologically motivated violent extremists here at home. People the former CIA director calls a greater threat than al-Qaeda.
This threat from domestic violence extremists is much more challenging, I believe, than it was in terms of going after foreign terrorists.
Have we really forgotten what 9/11 was like? That you're treating January 6th like 9/11?
And she warns the media might not realize what it's ultimately sacrificing.
So right now it's reprogramming or deprogramming Trump supporters. What about when it's deprogramming Christians of all kinds, including left and right? People think, well, I'm a better person than a Trump supporter, right? Because I believe I've studied critical race theory and I voted for Joe Biden and I would never vote for Donald Trump or a horrible, nasty Republican, right? Except you go to church and God and religion is a threat to progressive secular movement in this country. And now you need to be deprogrammed. And who's next? Who else is on the list?
For Logan, who's a native of South Africa, that's a question she tells me she never ever thought she'd be asking about the United States of America. Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
Still ahead, Israel responding to an international criminal court decision saying it can investigate war crimes allegedly committed by the Jewish state. We're going to bring you the Israeli reaction right after this.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain. Get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Israel slammed a decision by the International Criminal Court that it now has jurisdiction to investigate the Jewish state for war crimes. As Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, the landmark decision could put Israel on the defensive against potential charges by the UN court.
The impact could be widespread, as the ruling includes Israelis who were involved in events ranging from Israel's 2014 war with Hamas to Palestinian mass demonstrations along the Gaza-Israeli border beginning in 2018.
That would mean Israeli politicians, Israeli leaders, Israeli officials, and most of all, of course, Israeli military members, basically for any acts which are alleged to be criminal that have been committed since July 2014.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blasted the decision.
When the ICC investigates Israel for fake war crimes, this is pure anti-Semitism. The court established to prevent atrocities like the Nazi Holocaust against the Jewish people is now targeting the one state of the Jewish people. First, it outrageously claims that when Jews live in our homeland, this is a war crime. Second, it claims that when democratic Israel defends itself against terrorists who murder our children, rocket our cities, we're committing another war crime.
Israel says for years Hamas has fired thousands of rockets indiscriminately into civilian areas, while they respond with targeted military responses. Hamas is also open to ICC investigations, but they applauded the move.
Hamas considers this an important step towards justice for our Palestinian people and prosecute the Israeli war criminals. The most important steps remain, taking practical measures on the ground to hold the Israeli war criminals accountable and punish them for their crimes and everything they have done against our unarmed people.
It could also mean Jewish communities in Israel's biblical heartland, also known as the West Bank, might be considered illegal, since the ICC calls this area occupied territory. It could put Israeli leaders and possibly civilians traveling to countries bound by the ICC treaty in danger.
Because they will be obliged by the treaty holding the ICC together to extradite suspects of the ICC to The Hague for interrogation, arrest, trial, or whatever may be.
The 2-1 decision is not the final step. The matter now shifts to the ICC's chief prosecutor for a final decision to see if war crimes will be charged. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Coming up, with sports for young people on hold throughout the country because of COVID, we're going to hear from the executive director of a Christian youth sports organization how the church can help out. Stay with us.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Prophecy thousands of years old.
We were called to be a light to the world.
Being fulfilled today. Discover how. Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000.
We consider it our duty to reach out and help others around the world.
For a gift of $10 or more, you can own the acclaimed CBN documentary To Life. Just call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
To treat a human, no matter what he is, which religious he have, which color he is. This is what I'm doing.
See how the people of Israel are fulfilling prophecy.
History is being written, and I want to be a part of it.
By sharing their knowledge.
In Africa, in Asia, in South America, in East Europe.
And their love.
This is how we work. This is us.
Get to life. Call 1-800-700-7000 or log on to CBN.com.
In some states, COVID-19 has canceled youth sports for at least the past 10 months. The calls to reopen activities are getting louder than ever before. It all comes as the impact has affected young people both socially and mentally. Upward Sports is a nonprofit organization with the mission of promoting the discovery of Jesus Christ through sports. And the executive director tells CBN's The Prayer Link the church is a great place for young people's sports to reopen and to help save our youth.
You know, parents are now, we're seeing across the country, eager to re-engage. And some states are loosening up their regulations, and others have been open for some time. We know that when kids are playing video games at home instead of out exercising and interacting with other kids, it can be detrimental to their health. What we do across the nation with over 1,200 churches is help them to create leagues, sports leagues. Our number one goal is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with people who need it. And so you put the power of sharing the gospel with the ability for churches to partner in their communities to bring kids back together for sports. It is a meaningful impact on those churches and on those communities, and especially on those children.
For more on this, you can be sure to catch the Prayer Link this evening at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, you can find that on the CBN News Channel. Right now, it's time for your Tuesday Tweetable. Here's a message I encourage you to post, tag, tweet, and share with others. If the price tag is your peace, guess what? The cost is too high. Your peace is something you simply cannot afford to sacrifice. Hold fast to your peace. It's a promise from God for a reason. And that reason is this: you need it. With that word, I encourage you to make today a terrific Tuesday. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN Newswatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel. You can also find them online anytime at cbnnews.com. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen today. You can email us at the address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And, of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope to see you right back here, same time tomorrow, everybody. Goodbye. God bless.